Ma'am, we are live now, and uh, I think Dhruva will share the reminder link once again in the group. We will just wait
Okay.
for 5 to 6 more seconds.
Okay, sure. Would you be introducing me, or I mean, can I
Yes, ma'am.
start
Yes,
my
yes.
PPT now or
Ma'am.
later on? Just tell me when I can start it.
Yeah, we will tell you, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, we will start the session now, ma'am. A warm, happy evening to all the participants who joined with us for the webinar on one of the sensational topic. I am Nirmal Kumar Jain, a law student and founder of Law Gardener. On behalf of Law Gardener and team, I would like to welcome Advocate Aishwarya Sandeep, who have come here and gave their time from their busy schedule to share the knowledge and put forward their opinions and guide us. I would also like to welcome all the participants, which include law students, lawyers, and common man. Before starting the webinar, I would like to give you a short introduction of our speaker of the day. uh, Advocate Aishwarya Sandeep has done Bachelor of Mass Media and Journalism from University of Mumbai and completed LLB from Bharatiya Vidyapit Law College along with the other diploma courses in the meanwhile. And ma'am is also practicing advocate based out of Mumbai and also a visiting faculty of law in couple of law colleges. Ma'am felt that law needs to be simplified for the common man, so they have a keen interest in writing blogs relating to the parenting and social legal issues, and ma'am is also a TEDx talk speaker. Now I request ma'am to take the session further.
I thank you so much, Nirmal, and thank you so much to Law Gardener for having me on your platform and allowing me to share my thoughts on the same. Before we proceed with the topic of marital rape, this is a very controversial topic, and more than controversial, I would like to put it as a very sensitive topic. The reason for it being sensitive is because, let's proceed with the lecture and then I'll tell you why it is very sensitive. Uh, See, one of the biggest debates that we have at present is that uh, we have sexual assault, a provision that is already present in the domestic violence case. Dowry Prohibition Act and dowry related laws were meant to reduce dowry. They were meant to remove the social evil, but unfortunately those laws have been misused. That means a lot of fake cases have been filed. And see, I've also been an advocate for women's rights and children's rights, and I've been on the panel of DLSA, which is District Legal Aid Services, where I was associated with a family court. And I have seen genuine cases of marital rape. I've seen genuine cases of dowry harassment, but because they didn't have the resources, because they were not much educated, they couldn't take uh, the appropriate steps on time. So yes, the biggest controversy that we have with respect to marital rape is, will this law also be used only by the selected few people in order to suppress the innocent victim, or the innocent people, or will it bring a general revolution? That is what I'm going to try and explore in this lecture. To be very frank, I don't have a particular opinion. I mean, I'm not biased that this should be done, this should not be done. But yes, I do have my certain reservations. I do have my certain thoughts on certain aspects of marital law. Now, before we proceed with the whole concept of marital law, let us understand one simple thing. Just give me a second. I'll just just one simple request for the audience. This is going to be a gender neutral discussion. That means we are not going to play the blame game that men are wrong or women are wrong or the society is wrong or the in-laws are wrong or the parents are wrong. So let's try to keep our discussions without any prejudice or without any name blame or anything as such. Let's keep our discussions in a polite and sensitive matter. So let's proceed further. Before proceeding with you know the topic of marital rape, I would first like to clarify on the topic of marriage. In India, marriage is a huge, a big deal. Uh, recently there was another discussion on the marriage age of girls being increased to 21. So there was a huge debate saying that this will affect their biology, their body clock on reproducing kids and on producing kids, and there were various different debates on the same. So first, let us understand, when you talk about marital rape, it means rape committed by the husband, which till date has been exempted by the law. So, what exactly is a marriage? Just one more thing. I'm absolutely fine to take in your questions during the session. So, I just request the audience to put down your questions in the comment section so I can read it uh, as and when the session goes on. So, hi, good evening to everyone who's wished me good evening in the comment section. So, yeah, so let's begin with what exactly is marriage. Marriage has different definitions for different people. What is marriage for me may not be the definition of marriage for somebody else. Now, I'm someone who's been married for almost 10 years now. So, marriage, technically, at least in our Indian society, is a relationship between two people. It's a commitment. It is a relationship which gives you a legal identity. When I talk about legal identity, live-in relationships are not yet legally or socially that identified in our society. Marriage is also the first step to produce the heir in our society. That is khandan ka vansh aage badhana, as we say in Hindi. Marriage is a way in which you can give your property to the next generation. So that is a simple definition of marriage. Um, if you ask Bollywood, if you ask the Korean dramas, if you ask Hollywood movies, the definition of marriage is something else. But when you talk about marriage in real life, the definition is something that is absolutely different. So first, let's think about, why do people get married? 99, not 99, sorry. A lot of people get married because of peer pressure. My friend got married. Parents will say that so and so's kid is getting married. Your auntie's daughter got married. She got a good house. My friend's daughter got married. My friend got married. My friend's cousin got married. So there is a peer pressure. Second reason is the social security. The reason being, you are going in a function and all your friends are married and you're the only person who's single. I don't want to be that single person. I don't want to be excluded. People will think something is wrong with me if I don't get married by the age of 25. So, indirectly, there is a social pressure on you to get married only to be accepted as a part of the peer. Then, of course, we have the parental pressure saying, keep, before I'm no more, or before I lose my health, I want to see my grandchildren. I want the generation to go ahead. And I'm sure a lot of you know what parental pressure for marriage means. The next step is, because for some people, it's like, ki, huh, you complete your school, you complete your college, you do get a job. What next then? Get married. As simple as that. The most important is for sex, because that legally gives you the right to have sex with some people, with a partner. So that is also one of the reasons why people do get married. And the last and the most important thing is because you genuinely feel a bond with the person. The last thing happens very rarely, very, very, very rarely. It is like one in a million, sort of. Uh, and you know so that is something that's a bit difficult. um so yeah, so let's proceed further. There is one more concept of marriage in India. Okay, शादी के बाद सुधर जाएगा, अब बहू से सुधारेगी. How many of us have heard this? line in our society. At least once or twice, we have all heard this concept of शादी के बाद सुधर जाएगा या फिर शादी के बाद सुधर जाएगी, अब बहू आ गई है वो उसे सुधारेगी, वो उसके नशे की आदत छुड़वाएगी, उसके लेट नाइट पार्टी की आदत छुड़वाएगी. How many times have we heard it? We have heard this line from our relatives, we have heard it from our maids, we have heard it from our bosses, we have heard it from people of every section of the society. It is not that this particular line or this particular ideology is there only in people from, the poverty line, or it's only a middle class attitude, or it's only an upper class attitude. This attitude is there in almost all the classes. It's like, huh, if a boy is out of control, let him get married, the girl will improve him. Or if the girl is out of control, then say, acha, get her married, she'll settle down, have kids, and then probably she'll forget about it. अफेयर है किसी का कहीं पे, तो चलो शादी कर दो, शादी के बाद सब ठीक हो जाएगा. दैट इज द अल्टीमेट magic formula used by our society till date. And unfortunately, this formula has also destroyed a lot of houses. In India, you have to remember that marriage is not an individual affair. You may like somebody, you may like your partner, but that partner also needs approval of the entire society. I don't know how many of you are married or you have seen the arranged marriage scenario. In arranged marriage scenario, you need approval of anyone and everyone related to you. So technically in India, you are not marrying the boy, you're not marrying the girl, you're marrying the entire family. Overnight, you may be just, sorry, overnight I'm just Aishwarya. But tomorrow, when I wake up, once I'm married, I'll be a mommy, I'll be a chachi, I'll be a, bhabhi. Overnight, everything changes for you. You have to be prepared for that change. And in India, for marriage and, how a couple will live out after marriage is totally decided by a society. If a husband and wife are very happily wearing shorts and t-shirt and going outside, the society will be there to judge you. There is no problem between the couples, but there is a peer pressure, there is a social pressure from the society on them to behave in a particular manner. I do know a lot of couples who are like pretty cool, wearing whatever they want, and they'll go however they want, but everybody stares at them. I mean, they're married, just give them their own space. You are someone who is like, observed by the entire society. So that was how marriage is in a nutshell for you. So why did I talk so much about marriage before proceeding to the topic of marital rape? Uh, it is very important for you to first understand what a marriage is and how the relationship between a husband and wife should be. One of the reason a lot of fake cases or a lot of wrong cases on dowry and divorce are filed in our society is because people don't have the patience to understand that how a marriage should be. See, what used to happen in olden days is people used to stay in joint family. So in case of any disagreement between husband and wife, we used to go and tell our family members, ki, see, Babi, this is how my husband behaved. Or, there used to be one elder person in the family to whom we used to go and tell that, see, this is what has happened. I'm not happy with it. And those matters were resolved within the house itself. Even though women did not have financial freedom, they had the freedom to express their feelings without being judged. Maximum, they used to get two answers. One is, log kya kahenge, and second is, thoda adjust kar lo. These are the two formulas which have ensured that a lot of marriages last for a longer period of time. I'm sure everybody knows. There was this Twitter debate where there was an American lady who said that the best part about America is the divorce rate, because if you're unhappy with a marriage, you can just walk out. To that, there was a huge debate. Indians were saying that our marriages have lasted long only because we keep on adjusting, only because we don't speak up against domestic violence. Well, it is partly correct, but it is not completely correct. Okay, I'll tell you further. So let's come to the second part on the most important thing, that why rape happens in our society. Okay, the most important part is on why it happens in our society. And according to a lot of genius people, a lot of enlightened society leaders, it happens because girls go out at night. It's because girls eat chow mein, because they have mobile phones, they are opinionated, they have back answer. And if they don't get anything, they'll be like, okay, you're born as a woman, so that's why we are going to rape you. This, unfortunately, is the mentality of a lot of people in our society. Um, I'm sure everybody must have read these comments, read, uh, you know, the reason why girls are restricted is because they say that if anything goes wrong, if you have unprotected sex, if you get raped, you are the one who's going to carry that child for 9 months. That is one of the reasons why women face so many restrictions in our society. We've got various campaigns from the government, bachao, beti padhao, beti bachao, beti padhao, beti padhao, beti. Okay. We also have a lot of commissions. We have a lot of funding towards girl child, to protect them, to educate them, to make them independent. But unfortunately, the more independent they are, the more opinionated they are, the crime against them has been increasing. There are two chances, there are two possibilities for the same. One, because more and more people are aware about their rights and they're speaking for it. Two, because there's a fluctuation of ego issues. Earlier women were docile, earlier women were quiet, they never spoke what was in their mind, so it was easier to control. Now they are talking, how do I control? Let me hit her. That is what happens. So coming down to rape as a heinous crime in general, why actually does it happen in our society? So before we proceed with the chow mein and you know all the nonsense that happens, let's come down to a topic on why actually rape happens in our society. I'll just complete this topic and I'll just move on to the questions that have come down in the chat box. uh, you have to remember that rape is a crime that happens out of hatred. You wearing a short dress or you provocating someone has got to do nothing. What the problem with our society is, we don't pay much attention to the mental health of people. Rape is a crime which is triggered, and you don't know what the factor for that trigger is. The problem is, we don't teach our children to say no, and we don't teach them how to accept no. In a simple setting of a household, we can see that huh, in a huh, in a simple setting of a household, we can see, अच्छा लड़का है, उसको ये दिला दो. लड़की है, again the same thing, थोड़ा सा adjust कर लो. This is a formula on which our society has existed for a lot of years. Second and the foremost important thing is the lack of sexual education. That is something that we clearly lack in our society. You remember in our school how we used to have those sex education classes? A teacher used to come. She used to tell that girls can't wear this thing, girls can't do this, boys can't do this, you're not supposed to sit together, and then finish. Something that has to be taught in a series of lecture is wound up in 40 minutes because the government of India has made it mandatory to give teenagers sex education. If we just have uh, proper sex education, it will be possible for us to understand. It will be easier for us to understand no is a perfectly acceptable answer. There is a chance that a person may not be in a mood to do certain things. Sex in India is just an activity to produce children. To be very frank, that is what majority of the country thinks. It is not something that is done for pleasure. It is not something that is done out of love. It is something that is done to, either break the ego of a person or to produce kids. Uh, to be very frank, a lot of cases of marital rape also happen on the pressure of producing a male heir. A lot of times, marital rape happen because women don't want more than that one kid or second kid, first daughter or second daughter, but men are pressurized to have a son by the society. So somewhere, directly, indirectly, the society also plays a huge role in putting pressure and in forcing this crime of marital rape. If we could only have proper sex education, if we could only converse about the same openly with the right people, then we could have avoided marital rape altogether. And when I talk about the right people, they are not, I mean, okay, remember one thing, I know you are all teenagers, and some are entering into your adulthood, but pornography is not the right place to learn about sex. Okay, understand that very clearly. You should talk about it with your elders. Make premarital counseling mandatory in our country. At least, if not to anyone, make it mandatory for law students. Because we had a premarital counseling in our law college. Because, and trust me, we were around 400 to 500 students, and barely 20 students turned up for it. And I went for it because my friends wanted to practice in family law, and they thought that it is very important for them to learn what premarital counseling is about. And चलो जाते हैं आफ्टरनून में ऐसे ही टाइम पास करके आते हैं. That is what we did. तो talk about sex with the right people. Talk about it to the counselors. Talk about it with your elders with whom you are comfortable. If you do that, in that case, you can avoid marital rape. Now, Bollywood has taught us that once you are married, you need to consummate your marriage immediately. That is, you need to have your suhagrat or whatever immediately. But that is not the fact. That's just a myth that is created by Bollywood and the society. What you need to do is you need to start having healthy conversation. Even in India, the premarital counseling that is available is not up to that extent, up to that level where you can discuss these topics. Because even the session in which we had, uh, this whole sex education part was very limited, and we were all people who were adults. We were all people who were about 20, 22. Some of them were around 24, 25, but still they skipped this topic. But one of the most important topics that they concentrated in that session was understanding the psychology of husband and wife. They literally made us stand into each other's shoes and made us understand that, okay, this is how a husband thinks in a situation, this is how the wife thinks in this situation. Both are correct in their own places, only problem is communication. We still we live in this WhatsApp era and this Instagram and filters and Twitter and Facebook and everything. The problem is we still don't know how to communicate our ideas to the front person. That is where we fail miserably. If you want to stop marital rape altogether, you have to start talking about it. You have to start talking about one of the basic reasons on why it happens, that is forced sex. And forced sex happens when there is sheer lack of communication, when there is social pressure, when there is lack of knowledge. Another reason why marital rape happens in our society is any guesses you want to take? I've had some interesting cases on the same. I had a couple of counseling, I'll tell you. If you can take any other guess on why marital rape happens in our society, just put it in the comment section. Sure, I'll provide you with the PPT. But I just want few people to guess on why does it happen. One, I told you it is lack of knowledge. Two, lack of communication. Three, what is the third thing? Any guesses you can take? Okay, I don't see anyone taking any guesses. Okay, the third reason why I was going to stress about why it happens in our society is dowry issues. You remember I had told you that yes, patriarchy, male dominating society, all that comes as a part of a patriarchal habit, patriarchal society that we follow. There is poor mental health, and there is also dowry issue that happens in our society. um, Remember I had told you first only that that rape itself is a punishment given to the girl. Because sex is a taboo in our society, having sex with a person other than your partner is a huge crime. So it is a taboo. You're not going to talk about it. Until and unless I'm not going to talk about, something that someone did, how is a third person going to intervene? If I am not going to, if I'm not given the courage to talk about somebody touching me inappropriately, if I tell someone that, I was traveling in a bus and somebody touched me inappropriately, the first question people are going to ask me is, what were you wearing? They will not ask you, in which bus were you traveling? They'll first ask you, what were you wearing? And why did you take that particular bus when you know that this is going to happen? Why didn't you take an auto rickshaw? So instead of discussing the main point, or rather, instead of telling me that, acha, this happened, did you note down the person's face? Did you take the photograph? Did you go to the police station? Did you inform the conductor? No. The questions that I'm asked is, making me doubt myself. It is making me doubt my confidence. Now, I've seen a lot of comments in the comment section, which is wherein, everyone is saying that we can't talk about this to our friends. We can only talk about this to our friends. We cannot ask this to elders because they'll misunderstand us, misjudge us. The person who is committing this crime knows this even better than you. That if I'm going to trouble the victim, she is not going to tell this to anyone. Because when you have a genuine query about sex, you are afraid to talk about it. Imagine with what face are you going to tell somebody that I have been raped? Even if marital rape happens, they are just put under the carpet. The reason being simple, saying कि वो तो husband है, इतना तो करना चाहिए. What else is the duty of the wife? That is one of the primary uh, uh, you know duties of the wife, to take care of her husband. So we need to change the mindset first. Law, definitely we have to change, but as young lawyers we have to change the mindset. I'm sure tomorrow, listening to this session, if anybody goes to your college and tells ki ma'am, हमें भी ऐसा सेशन चाहिए कॉलेज में, your teachers will call your parents and tell that your kid has gone off track, and we can't discuss such things. But these topics are something that we need to discuss, we need to talk about openly. So I'll just take in a couple of questions and then I'll proceed with my slide. This one is by Meeta Das. Madam, suppose 18-year-old girl has peer pressure from a family and then she got married, but her husband sexually, huh, but her husband sexually abused her and without her consent rape. Then how can we get over it? That is why at present we have something called a sexual assault under the Domestic Violence Act. Um, what is important is her understanding what she is going through and her taking that first step of confiding in a person who can help her. Now, who's a person who can help her? I'll just tell you whom you can approach in case if you come across any such cases. Go to the nearest police station. Every police station has a women's cell. Tell them we need a lady officer. Remember one thing, the duty of police officers and the officers of the courts is to save marriages. Even when a lot of people come to me for divorce, I tell them that my first duty is to save the marriage. If things are very bad, if things are something that cannot be worked out, then we may consider divorce as an option. That is a principle that I follow, but unfortunately, it doesn't work out with a lot of people. And then I'm like, happy, it's okay. Tada, bye bye. What can I do? It's your life after all. You are the one who's going to take an impact. Because technically, marriages are meant to last for a lifetime. It's not that the person is wrong, it's just that the circumstances are wrong. And the problem in India at present is that more than the person, it is circumstances which decide that who will be your life partner. It should be the person who decides. It's not like that. It is the circumstance which decides कि तुम्हारा life partner कौन होने वाला है. तो one, at present it cannot be rape until and unless this marital rape ka, you know it is not decriminalized. Second, she can go for sexual assault under Domestic Violence Act. That is one thing. And she can put on IPC section, but those sections are not sufficient for the heinous crime of marital rape. And that is why everybody is fighting for this. That is why the legal community is pro decriminalization of marital rape. I hope I have answered your question. Next is divorce is the only solution. Um, CS engaged, to be very frank, divorce is never a solution, except 1 in 100 matters. That is how I'll put it. Divorce depends on case to case. Divorce depends on, um, you know, divorce depends on a lot of factors. On compatibility. Compatibility is something that we never talk. See, in India, Indian marriages, compatibility is something that is your caste, your religion. Huh. In India, compatibility is your caste, it's your religion, it's your society, it's your social status. These are the factors that answer the compatibility point. Whereas when you talk about compatibility, compatibility is about matching of thought process. But we barely do it in our marriages. We barely do it in our society. So divorce is never a solution, according to me. Yes, if it is someone who's hitting you daily, then just pack your bags and walk out. That's the only solution that you have. Next, so I hope I've answered your question. CS engaged. Next, we have Kuntal Pal, who has asked, what about sexual exploitation of men via rape laws, not gender neutral? Um, Thank you so much for bringing this point up. That is exactly why the other half of the people are opposing decriminalization of marital rape, because a lot of times these sections can also be misused. That is, fake cases can also be filed against men. Um, That is why I was stressing so much on sexual education, because once you have proper sexual education, you will understand the concept of no, you will understand the concept of hormonal fluctuation, you understand the concept of your body changes that happens in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. If you don't understand that, you are obviously going to force sex. So when this debate was going on, a lot of people were putting it online that if a woman is deprived of sex, it is restitution to conjugal rights. Um, but if a man is deprived of sex in a marriage, then it is cruelty to a woman. So, unfortunately, our laws are woman biased. But yeah, we are working towards making correct interpretation of the law, and we are working towards making correct implementation of the law. Uh, so the next is thank you so much, Rajat Khan, for saying it's a helpful webinar. CS Engaged has again said that no such classes in our school. Yes, it's not only your school, but a lot of schools don't have this concept of sexual education. I mean, I studied in a proper convent in the city, and yet our sexual education was that one period where a nun came and told us, see, this is how girls are, this is how boys are. Boys are going to do these things because they don't have so and so, so and so, so and so. Girls are going to do this thing because of this reasons. Something happens, 9 months, you are going to be pregnant. How are you going to handle everything? That's it. That was the sexual education in our school. I learned more about it, through the time. Only when I entered law, that is where we had to undergo training to understand. Because until and unless we are not trained, how are we going to handle cases of domestic violence? How are we going to handle cases of divorce? So that's how it is. Next, again, we have another. If you ask such question again, it's by CS Engaged. We will be considered somebody with a dirty mind or bad kid. That's what I told some few minutes ago. That if you go and tell your professors tomorrow to keep such a question, to keep such a session on marital rape, then they'll call up your parents and tell them to take your transfer certificate. So, how do we deal with it? Is that I'm sure everybody has access to internet. There are a lot of TED talks, there are a lot of motivational talks where people have openly spoken about such topics. When you attend such webinars, when you attend such live questions, ask them, but ask them in a polite manner so that they are not offended. I'll be providing it in the group. Acha, how can someone choose a right or a better partner so that divorce doesn't happen? Is live-in relationship a solution or what? It's a very interesting question, something that I think a lot of youngsters should talk to today, because I'm seeing a lot of people in 25s and 30s saying that I don't want to get married, I want to lead my own life. Marriage is a gamble, to be very frank. Your horoscopes and that perfect checklist of tall, dark, handsome, of that 6 7 figures ka pay package and all, those things don't matter. And those things I mean, to a certain extent, but they play a very minute role. Stop keeping all sorts of false expectations कि मेरे लिए अप्सरा आएगी, she'll take care of my parents, she'll give me this, she'll do this for me, do that. Nothing. That doesn't help. Marriage survives only on one thing, that is respect. And it is very difficult to give respect to the front person for their choices. There are very simple and few formulas for marriages to survive: respect and open communication. Okay, that's it. That is the only thing that will help you to avoid divorce. And the third thing is turn a deaf ear to the society, because people will always keep on commenting, people will always keep on interfering, so just ignore it. So that is one of the best ways. I'm not much in support of live-in relationship. Um, Because for someone like me, social security is something that matters a lot. So living relationship may always not be the solution. In some cases, yes, it can be a solution. Then we have girl child upbringing like this, just follow your husband. That also happens. That is also one of the best, that is also one of the reasons why marital rape happens. And people are like, your husband is your god. We are not going to um, uh, you know we are not going to take care of you. Whatever he says, he's your provider, he's your legal guardian, so finish. That is one of the reasons why marital rape is encouraged in our society. Namrata has said, ma'am, even there are many men who think wife as an object. So yes, that is what we said, that uh, the whole idea of dowry is the wife is an object. You can use her however you want, wherever you want. That is one of the mindsets we need to change, and that is what exactly I meant by respect. When I say respect, you treat your spouse as a human being. You don't treat them as an object. Wife is not an object, or wife is not a person who's going to only cook and clean and give you sexual pleasure. And simultaneously, husband is also not a person who's just going to bring slog around and bring money for you. The respect has to be mutual. It cannot be one sided. So I hope I have answered everyone's questions. Then we have Raman, who is like, in any kind of sex with women is a right of a man. Absolutely no, and that is what we are talking about. Even if it's a prostitute whom you have paid for sex, even she can say no. She may have sex with 10 other people and refuse to have it with you. It is her right. You cannot force her. Adultery and its impact on marriage. Okay. um it's a very tricky question, considering the present day scenario of your Tinder and Bumble. I'm sure everybody knows Tinder and Bumble, what it is, more than me. So the problem with adultery is it will obviously destroy a marriage. There is a difference in how you define as adultery. Now, for somebody like me, I have male work colleagues, my husband has female work colleagues. It is bound that, we will make calls at odd times. We both tell that, okay, I am calling up so and so person, and he has a rough idea about my male colleagues, and he's like, okay, this person is like this, finish. If he's talking to a female colleague, I'm like, this person is like this is for work purpose, finish. When you have clear communication, the concept of adultery doesn't exist. Your online sexting and Facebook, this and all, that will happen only for a certain period of time. Because once you're in your 35s and 40s, घर के EMI होते हैं, बच्चों के fees होते हैं, and all of the financial responsibilities will chew up so much of your brain that you don't even think about cheating your partner. Whatever happens, media does bring that excitement. Media does bring that, um, curiosity. It's up to you whether you want to fall into that trap of curiosity and spoil everything you have, or you would happily like to carry on with your life. So adultery definitely is something that will crash your life. Society thinks that female is a sex object and a factory for children. Absolutely true. Factory for children, especially the male heir. And that is one of the major reasons for increased marital rape. Okay, it's more than an hour. Yeah, even I'll shut down. So don't worry, I'll just answer these few questions. We hear that we live in a world dominated by patriarchy. This is by Rajneesh Rai. Uh, at the expense of women. We've lived in a dominated world by the need to survive. Uh, Rajneesh, partly I agree with you. We have lived in a world where we need where we are dominated by the need to survive, which is like, only the best survives, the rest are vanished. So earlier, what used to happen is men used to go out of the house, they used to do the external work, earn money, come home. Women used to take care of the house. With time, expenses started increasing. There is a lot of migration that happened. So earlier, how it used to happen is only men used to come to town and leave their wives with their family. After some time, they found that single men living alone doesn't make sense. They felt loneliness. There was nobody to take care of them. So slowly, their wives started migrating with them to the cities. That is how slowly and steadily nuclear families were formed. With time, expenses also started increasing. Single income is not enough to run a household, at least in a city like Mumbai. It's very expensive. So, what do? The wife also started working. So, when the wife started working, obviously, household work, everything has to be done in that particular point of time. काम में shortcut होने लगा. We started hiring maids, we started buying machines, our lifestyle changed entirely. But somewhere around our lifestyle, our mindset did not change. And that is where the biggest problem occurred. So we kept on comparing our wives with our mothers, with our grandmothers. But what we forget is that an era during that time was entirely different. An era today is entirely different. So the thing is, even though only the strongest survived, in our society, we have presumed that men are the strongest and whatever they say is right. So that is where the whole problem lies. Uh, Hi, good evening. Then we have need to survive women. Then we have one more thing, question by Abha, which talks about the law for marital rape is not clear in our country. So, what provisions can we adopt in order to solve this issue? So, before we proceed to your question, Abha, I'll just continue with my slide so that because I've actually covered it. This is one thing I've explained you that what we actually learned in our sex education during our school days. And what are we exactly supposed to learn? We are supposed to learn that we are two different individuals. We cannot compare each other. We need to respect our bodies. But unfortunately, social media only tells you how imperfect you are, how you are not capable of doing certain things. For example, there is this post that uh, I'm sure everybody must have seen that, how women in their women break their bones while having a childbirth and all. So that is something that will glorify motherhood, that your mother is going through so much of pain, so much of struggle, and men do nothing. uh, I'm not totally against, but somehow I don't agree with that post, because men in different women have different duties. We are created physically in a very different manner, and we need to respect that. If I'm giving birth to my child, simultaneously the society's also got certain expectations from me, also got certain expectations from my husband. The moment I become a mother, he is a father. He has to be extra careful in how he presents himself, because there is a tiny creature in his own house who is looking up to him. He needs to think of the finances. He needs to think about कि हाँ नया घर लेना है, नई गाड़ी लेनी है, नया ये करना है, नया जॉब लेना है, क्या करना है, क्या करना है. तो yeah, we have all got our equal sets of responsibilities. So comparing men to women is the biggest nonsense that I've come across. We have to understand how our body functions, about different hormonal fluctuations. You have to understand about sex and hormones. Hormones play a huge role. Your body changes along with your hormones, sex and emotions. There's a very common saying that for women, sex is an emotion, for men, it is a lust. It's not like that. It can be merged, it can be interchanged. You have to understand that. You have to talk about sex with your partner. You have to tell. If you are in pain, you have to tell him, not the world. Okay, telling the world about it is not going to help. You need to have that comfort with your partner, saying ki, see, this is what happens to me, I feel pain here, I'm not comfortable doing this. That type of open communication you should have with your partner. um Childbirth ke baad, you are bound to have changes in your body, and it is very natural. I mean, with Malaika Arora Khan and Shilpa Shetty being size zero on the day they gave birth, it's been a huge pressure. I mean, I gave birth to my daughter around 3 years ago. I put on a lot of weight. And even today, nobody leaves an opportunity to remind me about how much weight I have gained. So, yeah, I think we need to keep our safe distance, and even husbands need to understand that, and they need to support that. Fortunately for me, my husband is very supportive. He also equally gained that much amount of weight, and now everybody comments on our weight jointly, so that is not an issue. The most important part that we need to be taught in the sex education classes, how the gender of the child is dependent on the father and not on the mother. That is the most important thing that we need to teach, so that there are no marital rape and there are no forced sex. So let's talk whether it's a myth or a reality. It is a reality for sure, because I have personally seen cases of marital rape. uh, it is very difficult to identify them, at least in the first counseling session. See, as lawyers, you also need to be masters of counseling. You have to read your client, you have to understand your client. A lot of times, what clients tell you in the first meeting is what they have been taught to tell. They'll not tell you what is in their mind. They have been taught by their parents, by their friends, by their relatives that, you know, this is what you need to tell when you go to the lawyer. Lawyer को इतना बताना है, इतना नहीं बताना है. Now, sometimes what happens, what they hide from you may be the most crucial information. So, the chances are that a genuine rape case will not be reported in the first meeting. But there are certain ways in which you can figure it out. One is you need to cross check everything that your victim is saying. Somebody had put in the comment section that why is it that we have only laws with respect to women, protection of women, and not with protection of men. So you have to cross check it. Remember, fake cases are not filed by people. Fake cases are filed by lawyers. Okay. So if we understand our clients very well, and if we don't keep on filing fake cases on the behest of the client for a few amount of rupees, I think a lot of fake cases itself will vanish off from the judiciary. Now, what are the cases? What are the triggers on how you can figure out? One is, see, when there is a case of marital rape, there are chances it may affect her periods. She will be forced to use contraceptives. There will be different kinds of marks on the body. It's very easy for a women lawyer to identify these triggers. So, if you're a male lawyer, ensure that you have a very mature and a sensible uh, lady junior who can deal with such situations. You have to remember, you have to be very sensitive and very careful while handling these kinds of cases. If you have a doubt on whether it's a marital rape, you can ask her to go down to the nearest government hospital and get a body checkup done. You have to be very careful and you have to be very sensitive. Okay. Um, do we need a reform? Earlier, I said that I'm not pro this or I'm not against this, but yes, reform we need, because until and unless we don't make it punishable, people are not going to stop doing it. We are so obsessed by having male heirs in our family. That is one of the major reasons for marital rape and forced sex. We have been repeatedly talking women are not objects to be owned. She is not a punching bag. She is not a reformation center where it is like शादी के बाद सुधर जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Consent obviously matters. You have to understand yes, you have to understand no. That is something that is very basic. Okay, so I'll just come back to Abha. The law is not very clear. Yes, so we need to make the law very clear that it is a crime, and henceforth, if any husband does it to his wife, he can be put behind bars for good. Next, we have Mohan Sharma. Um you have what about the issue if bringing in evidence for proving it in court? So I understand you want to ask how are you going to prove if you know how are you going to prove a case of marital rape? So that is what I had mentioned in my slide earlier. Yeah, you have to ask for a medical report because ultimately that is the evidence. Medical report doesn't see. I'm not a doctor to tell you, but I'll just tell you generally. You need a proper gynecologist who will tell you how to identify rape cases. Who is a forensic expert? One, there will be a huge fluctuation in hormones because of stress, because of repeated uh, sex. That is one of the easiest ways to catch. Second, you can have a psychologist who will give their inputs. They are trained psychologists, so they know when a person is lying and what the person is undergoing. These are the two most important people who will help you to understand if it's a genuine rape case. Third thing is, along with your years of practice, you will gain experience and you will understand what a person is going through. And then you will be able to judge the right from the wrong, the correct victim and the wrong victim. Okay, so I hope I've answered your question. Then you have, if something was wrong, how would another wrong justify it? Uh, See, two wrongs don't make a right. I hope you get the point. Just because somebody did wrong to you doesn't mean you do wrong to someone else. That is never a correct formula for, uh, leading a life. Then you have what is the grievance mechanism of rape of men in marriages. Talk about it first. To be very frank, we don't have any legal provisions for the same at present because we don't talk about it sufficiently. Uh, we don't have a provision for rape, male rape victims itself. So we need new laws for the same. Provisions under Indian constitutions, you have Article 14, right to equality, your Article 21, and all those basic provisions are there. See, constitution will just give you your right. Constitution will not give punishment. That is the difference between your IPC and constitution. You need to understand that. Uh, Hi Paramita, glad we've had this. Okay, I on law lectures has said. What about adultery? How can we correlate with marital rape? See, adultery and marital rape have got to do nothing with each other. Adultery is an altogether different concept. Marital rape is altogether different concept. Marital rape is when you have forced sex with your wife. Adultery is when your wife is in the house, you still go around nazare milana, nazare ghumana, whatever is the terminology for the same. You still go around having an affair. So adultery and marital rape have got to do nothing with each other. Uh, then next I have by Meeta Das. In our society, many people thought if girl get divorced from her husband, then it might be the girl's problem. Acha, she is not capable of the one can change the mentality. Okay, when a lot of women come to me for divorce, the first thing I tell them is that it is not going to be an easy road. You have to be ready for all the challenges that will come in front of you. The first step to do it is be financially independent. People will keep on commenting about you, people will keep on talking about you irrespective. You don't need to get a divorce for that. Even when you're married, people will keep on talking about you. You know how? They'll keep on commenting how your kids look, they'll keep on commenting how your husband looks, they'll keep on commenting, acha, your husband got only small car, why he didn't bring big car? So लोगों के जजमेंट तो वैसे भी चलते ही रहेंगे, आप कुछ भी कर लो. But before a woman initiates a divorce proceeding, first thing I tell her is get educated. तुम्हारा ग्रेजुएशन कंप्लीट करना है, यू वांट टू गिव सम एग्जाम्स, गिव, become financially independent. Once you're financially independent, it will make you mentally strong. So basically, whatever people say, it won't affect you. That is the first step I tell any woman who comes to me and says that I want divorce. Okay. See, it is very difficult to change people's mentality, but if we can change our mentality slowly and steadily, in future the society will also change their mentality, because we itself are a part of the society. So I hope I've answered your queries till now. Then we have Nishtha. In this regard, mindset and thinking. Yes, mindset and thinking do play a huge role, because when we talk about marital rape, see, the first people we are going to confide is not the lawyer. The first people we are going to confide is our family members. So when we tell it to our family members, the first thing they'll say is ki, see, these things happen, thoda adjust kar lo. In India, marriages have lasted for longer only on two formulas. Log kya kahenge and thoda adjust kar lo. This is applicable to both the parties, not only to girls, also to boys. The family needs to understand, they need to identify the red flags and then take appropriate legal actions. Um, family has to understand what their daughter is going through, what their niece is going through. Family has to understand that family honor is not in sacrificing your own child every day. Family honor is in protecting your child against the evil, whether that evil is done by a family member or by an outsider. You don't have to change the society. You just need to change yourself. The society will change on its own. Stand up if you see something wrong happening. That's it. That itself will bring a lot of change. So I hope I've answered your queries. Acha, I see a lot of kids are in a hurry to go home. So then you have in India, wife think her husband is like Pati Parameshwar. Yeah, we need to change that mindset. It is very difficult. Someone has said very difficult for doctors to differentiate between sexual activities and marital rape. Basic criteria or elements with respect to marital rape. See, there is a difference between regular sexual activity and marital rape, because marital rape is something that is forced. When you have sex for pleasure, your body will release different set of hormones. When you do it under stress and when you're forced to do it, your body will release different set of hormones. So that's why I said you need to do your medical test. There will be certain injuries, but mainly there will be a lot of in a lot of cases I have seen there is erratic use of contraception, because sometimes people, marital rape may happen because people just want pleasure, they don't want a child. So very they'll be using precautions in a very erratic way without thinking. You have to be smart enough to catch the loophole, and as I said, it is the gynecologist, it is the counselor, it is the lawyers, it is the policeman. We have all had sufficient experience, we have all had sufficient thoughts in knowing that who is lying and who is saying the truth. It is difficult to prove, but it is not impossible to prove. Okay. That is the challenge. Um, why is marital rape not criminalized in India till now? Because see, till now it was believed that the husband will never harm his wife. It was all done in good faith. It is like husband will not harm his wife. He'll take care of her. He is her legal guardian. The idea was husband will protect the wife. So that is why we didn't criminalize it till then. And see, sex between husband and wife is very private. You don't have to go and scream and tell the world about it. It is a very private topic which remains only between them. Neither her parents, nor his parents, nor his relatives, nor her relatives have got to do any business in that. So that was the amount of privacy given. But what started happening is, under this privacy, a lot of unwanted things started happening. People started exploiting women. Crime against women started increasing. So that is why we needed to decriminalize this law. It is without consent and will, as in 375. How can we prevent misuse of concept of marital rape? I have. That's exactly what I mean. Every law is like a double-edged sword. How to prevent fake cases? One, you have to insist on medical reports. See, once you start practicing no and talking to people, you will automatically come to know who is truthful and who is lying to you. You have to see, you don't have to hurriedly file a case for marital rape until and unless it is very clearly visible. Somebody comes to you with swollen eye, broken bones, and everything. You don't have to immediately file it. You have to wait, check the medical reports. You have to talk to the victim several times. You have to understand these topics between forced sex, coaxed, consensual, and you have to explain these to your clients. A lot of fake cases are filed because lawyers encourage their clients to do so. So partly it is the fault of lawyers also that a lot of fake cases are filed, because common man to जाके case file नहीं कर सकता ना, lawyers के ऊपर होता है. So if somebody comes to you to file a fake case, don't go ahead with it. Tell them that, acha, you want a divorce, I'll help you in getting a divorce, but don't file a fake case. You have to threaten them and you have to be strong. Okay, if you are strong and you tell them, acha, one lawyer will say no, second will say no, third will say no, fourth will say no. If no lawyer from that particular area is ready to file, probably they'll have no other option. Okay, so it is up to you on how you handle the case and how you can avoid in filing. Um, Rape means exploiting someone's dignity. Yes, it is exploiting someone's dignity, and that is the reason why nobody talks about it. And the reason, exploiting can happen in many ways. When you talk about rape, there has to be proper penetration. You can be exploited financially, you can be exploited mentally, you can be exploited emotionally. There are different ways on how you get exploited. uh Acha, I'm sorry, CS engaged, I didn't know you had a commitment, otherwise I wouldn't have gone for this long. Is there any limitation period for see, for filing a case under IPC sections? There is no proper time limitation. You can There's no proper time limitation for filing an FIR. Okay, you have to file it at the earliest. That's it. It's not that you have to file it overnight or anything. But what happens is, the more delay there is in filing complaints of rape cases, the chances of proving it are reduced. That is uh, the only thing. be considered as a part of marital rape? At present, before we move on to settling, let's just try and get it decriminalized, and then we can think about what all things we can include. Then what the marital rape exception does is it arbitrarily shields, that is married men, from it. Doesn't shield. Um, Exception does is it arbitrarily shields one class of perpetrators, married men, from the operation of law. What it did till now is that it ensured that a normal husband and wife relationship is not termed as rape. That is what it did till now. It did not shield the perpetrators. You have to also understand uh, that point first. Okay. Um, Then feedback form will be, then should a woman be punished with severe punishment if fake case? Women get scot free, leaving men in tatters. That is absolutely true. And I'm all in for women getting punished with severe punishment. But before that, there is one small thing that we need to remember is that we still live in a patriarchal society. तो जितना मैरिटल रेप का मिसयूज होने का चांसेस है, women getting punished is also misused. So, if you want to file a genuine rape case against someone who's very wealthy and very powerful, first of all, a woman loses more dignity than a man in a rape case. If someone is very influential, if someone is very powerful, uh, he can just file a case against the woman saying, ki, yaar, this lady is lying. He can do all the settings, and probably she may never get justice. I'm in all support for women getting punished for filing a rape case, but you have to understand that you know you have to understand that we also live in a society where even today men are more powerful. The women who misuse these laws of domestic violence and uh, dowry acts are a handful of women living in the urban areas, and they have access to all sort of justice system, and probably very minute section in the rural area. See, the scenario in urban area is entirely different, the scenario in rural area is entirely different. I'm having this session online with you because you have access to internet. But if I were to have this session with the women in the villages, probably I wouldn't have gone beyond 5 minutes because they would have not let me speak because it's a taboo that I'm talking about. So that is still, you know, a problem in our uh, society. So we need to understand. Yes, we need to take care of. We need to take care of our men also, and we need to protect our women also. So that's it. So there was this girl who was asking me, should stealthing be considered as a part of marital rape? Shouldn't it be identified in India before criminalizing marital rape? So I'll just go ahead and first explain what stealthing means. It is a non-sexual condom removal. So what happens is a lot of times people don't tell each other whether they are on contraceptives or not. It also happens in the opposite way, that women don't tell men whether they are on contraceptive or not. A lot of times women take contraceptive and don't tell their partners because they don't want to have a child. Sometimes they lie to men saying that they are on pills because they want a pregnancy. So it happens in both the ways. It is not only men do it, it is something that even women do it. So that's why I've been repeatedly saying open communication between spouses is something that we need to give priority to. Okay. So that is something more important. Should a woman be punished with that we did no? Should selling gender neutral? Okay, thank you. So I guess there are no further questions. Marital rape, definitely it is a ground for divorce. I mean, why would you want to live with a person who is committing such a huge heinous crime on you? It is definitely a ground for divorce. That is why you already have sexual assault, you have mental cruelty, which are bits and parts of marital rape, which are reasons for divorce. So definitely marital rape is a reason for uh, a divorce. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Uh, so thank you so much for being a lovely audience and listening to me.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
So like as we are like, right now, like we have a procedure like we use it to solve resolve the queries, resolve the questions in the end, but you have did a fabulous job by resolving the questions in the medium, in the in between also. This has engaged the audience like very well. I appreciate a lot for this generous thing, ma'am. So like we also had got some questions during the registration itself, like registration form, and these questions have not been asked in this. So I would like to ask the same question, ma'am.
Sure, I can also see there are some more questions that are coming up besides also. Sure, please do ask me the questions.
As
Acha,
we
is
are a
this
law
me?
student,
Huh. Yeah, yeah, tell
no,
me.
no, no. Like I will be like as we are a law student, and probably like we are going to be a lawyer, and we will be filing cases and on this type of issues. So there should be any like if there is any landmark judgments on marital rape, was one of the questions from a participant.
Landmark judgments. I don't have anything right now. Can I just send it across to you? Will that be fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll send you the entire series. There are good
Yes.
judgments, but I don't remember any as such.
No,
I'll send
no
it across
problem,
to
ma'am.
you. Sure.
There is one more question is that there are some NGOs who are arguing that marital rape should not be criminalized as sexual relationship is a part of marriage, or it can be just termed as sexual abuse. So, like, what's your opinion? Like, what you have to tell to these NGOs?
Um, See, I say that every marriage is different, every relationship is different. There is a difference between sexual assault and there is a difference between marital rape. Understand the difference, and yes, marital rape needs to be decriminalized, but this law has to be used very carefully and in only certain circumstances. That is what I would like to say. You have to be very stringent on using this, and the responsibility of the same is on the shoulders of lawyers like us, on the judges, on the judiciary, uh, police officers, doctors, everybody who's a part of this procedure.
Yes, ma'am. And
Yeah.
my next question is, ma'am, why
Huh.
marital rape have different perspective in different countries? Like yesterday's center told Delhi High Court that India cannot blindly follow Western countries, like which have criminalized it. It further said that India has its own unique problems due to
Hmm.
various factors, and what constitutes marital rape and does not need to be precisely defined before a view on criminalization is taken. So, like, how you will say upon this? Like, I mean,
See, in different countries, because we live in different societies. For example, if I'm in US and I'll wear shorts and a t-shirt and walk outside with my two kids, people will just say, "Hey, how are your kids?" They'll walk away. Now, if I do the same thing in India, if I do the same thing in Mumbai, probably, acha, let me do the same thing in my society. People will be like, "Hi, how are you? How are the kids?" Finish. If I do the same thing in probably another place, people may not accept it. They'll be like, "Ha, she's married, she got two kids, and look at what she's wearing." You see how the mindset changes?
yes, yes,
Similarly, in India, marriages are something that is meant for a lifetime. That is why I said I'll begin with what exactly marriage means in India. In foreign countries, it's a union between two people. In India, you don't get married to an individual, you get married to a family. So, therefore, it is a beautiful union. So, therefore, your relationship is enhanced. There are a lot of people who play a role in your marriage. right? To help you survive the marriage. So if one marriage breaks in the family, it has an effect on the entire family. For example, a few years down the line, I'm sure everybody is going to get married. If God forbid there is a divorced cousin sister, there's a divorced cousin brother, people will do double inquiry of yours कि उसके भाई का क्यों डिवोर्स हुआ, उसकी बहन का क्यों डिवोर्स हुआ, फैमिली में कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम है. So we still live in a society where our extended family and our family plays a huge role. In Western country, the way their society is, it is entirely different. And therefore, the laws required there is also entirely different. The laws required in our society is also entirely different. That is what we need to understand. So we cannot blindly create laws that have been, created for their society. Law is created as per the society and its requirements.
So like there is a need to give some time to the central government to work upon it, to study upon it, and just not
Hmm.
follow anything and come with a proper law. Otherwise, there if they come with any laws and there need to be any, once again there should be amendment in the next session. So otherwise it go upon like that only.
Yeah, and along with that, we also need to talk about it in our society. Like now, because we have this whole topic about marital rape, we are at least talking about कि हाँ भाई marital rape नाम की चीज होती है. You and I are today conducting a session on this topic. Otherwise, would you have bothered कि हाँ 375(2) में ऐसा section है? We were like कि हाँ ठीक है 375(2) में section है. We'll just study, write in our exams, forget it, and move on. We need to talk about it in the meanwhile. Even the society at large plays a huge role in accepting a law. So that's it. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So my next question is, ma'am, what are the responsibilities as an individual in this scenario? Like how to deal with and what we can do it.
As an individual, I would say be always open to communication. That is my first uh, a statement. You have to be always open to clear communication. A lot of girls have put in the, and not only girls, even boys have put that in India, husband is like Pati Parmeshwar. So you cannot communicate your feelings. If you're having a headache, tell your husband, I have a headache. Don't nag him. Don't pounce on him as soon as he comes home, but tell him. Communicate. I think communication between husband and wife is something that we still lack in our country, because in India, even today, husband is here, wife is here. So if we just reduce that gap, that will help. Second, if somebody is telling you their marital problems, listen to them. Don't give an opinion, because probably your opinion is something that may affect their relationship. Listen to them calmly, give them time. अच्छा, ऐसे हुआ, हाँ ठीक है, finish. Don't go on giving out your opinions. Don't go on spreading the matter to third person. Let them calm down and let them sort their own problems. Finish. Third thing, as lawyers, as I said, don't hurry up and file a case of marital rape the next day. You have to wait, you have to understand, you have to check whether the case is genuine or not, only then file. द गर्ल्स फादर में से, अरे सर मैं तो आपको बहुत पैसे दे रहा हूँ, आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम है, डॉक्टर को मैं मैनेज कर लूंगा, पुलिस को मैं मैनेज कर लूंगा. It's up to you. If you have that conscience to do it, do it. If you don't have the conscience, don't do it. It's up to you. Okay. So that is how we are all individually responsible in our own way.
Yes, ma'am. We will take some questions from the comment box as we have got some more questions in the
Yeah,
between.
I'll just continue with where. I'll tell you why I take questions in between us, because only then the audience will be engaged. I get very bored
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
alone.
No, like I got to know this, ma'am, right in this session. I will keep on my keep this thing in our next sessions also, ma'am.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
other way of
Marital rape, yes, it is a ground. Some ways to sensitize marital rape to village women. Um, when I used to work with this district legal aid committee, so how it used to happen is, see, they are very hard. They are like कि हाँ ऐसे होता है तो होता है. वो तो हमारे कम्युनिटी में चलता है. These are the kinds of answers that I got from a lot of women. So women are used to suffering this from years. Okay, when you talk about desensitization, when you talk about sensitization of such topics, you have to understand that first you cannot sensationalize it. Okay, you cannot sensationalize marital rape in newspapers, you cannot sensationalize it in social media. You have to sensitize it first. So how you will sensitize? By your choice of word. You know, we always have that one gossip auntie in our society, and we always have that one auntie to whom we go and confide everything. In simple, don't be like that gossip auntie, be like that one auntie in your society to whom you will go and confess your doubts. As simple as that. That is the best way in which you can sensitize. One of the other things, when you sensitize, you have to listen to people. People will not tell you their stories in the first or second meeting, because as I said, sex is something that is a taboo. They have been told not to talk about it. So you have to be patient. You cannot tell them that, you are village women, you don't know anything. No, you cannot use that tone. You have to be very patient, you have to be very careful. Like if I were to go and give a lecture in the village area, I'll not wear a kurta and a jeans. I'll wear a sari. I'll wear a bigger bindi. I'll wear my mangal sutra. The way I dress up, I'm not going to use my hi-fi English in front of them. No, I'll talk to them in local language. So the way you present yourself, the way you approach, and I'm not going to start and talk about that how great I am, or I've done this. You people are uneducated. No, they are also educated. They also know their jobs better than you do. They are surviving without a lot of technological help that you and I have. You have to respect that. The moment you reflect respect, they'll open up to talk and to absorb knowledge from you. Just need to wait for the right moment, and then subtly you have to inform them. You're not going to force them. You just have to inform them that, see, this is something that happens, this is what the government is saying. If they have an issue, yes, see, this is my mobile number, aise call karna hai. If you don't know to call, you can tell so and so person, whoever is the person, to call, and that is how you will connect with them. You have to be respectful to the front individual. Only then you can sensitize them and avoid sensationalism. Okay, that is one of the best ways to approach. Yeah, Laksha said conversation is the key to all. Wrong conversation is the key to all. It is not separate cause, but yes, it does come under cruelty under section 13 of Hindu Marriage Act. Nandini, desensitization will take some time, not an issue. It is an ongoing process. You can't do it overnight. This is a very interesting question by Rajneesh. Men are legally second class. According to NCRB, number of male suicide is 2 times more than number of female suicide because of marital issue. Still, society thinks men are monsters, women are victim. The reason is because we don't pay attention to mental health of men. The problem for this is we don't communicate, we don't give an opportunity for men to express themselves. It is not only marital issue, it is the same patriarchy which is killing men. It is the same patriarchy which has forced men that कि अगर तुम्हारे पास 5 साल में ये गाड़ी है तो 10 साल में इससे बड़ी गाड़ी होनी चाहिए, 15 साल में इससे बड़ा घर होना चाहिए. It is the society and the patriarchy which is also killing men. What happens in a marital issue is a man is facing this problem. He can't share it with his friends will judge him. He can't share it with his parents because you are not taught to talk about such things with your parents. You are not a weak person. The problem in India is that if a man expresses his emotion, he is considered weak. That is not the case. तो होता क्या है, वो सारा frustration pile up होता है. And who is the first person that comes in front of you? It is your wife. तो सारा frustration उस पे निकाल दो. Wife has also got her own set of frustrations. कौन दिखता है सामने पहले? हस्बैंड, उस पे निकाल दो. कंटिन्यूस झगड़े होते हैं, डिवोर्स, सुसाइड. In a way the society is also playing a part. The wife is, so that is what I said, the wife is not a recreation center for the husband. वो शादी के बाद सुधर, she's not a punching bag for his frustrations. I think we need to, as a society, we need to be sensitive with our men. We need to be sensitive with our boys. I have an 8-year-old kid, 8-year-old boy. I'm absolutely fine. He goes and he gets hit by the girls in the society while playing, not like that hit. While playing, they have their own fights. He's frustrated, he's angry. I told him, you're angry, you're frustrated, you tell me. Finish. The question ends there. We all go to sleep peacefully. The most important thing is we need to take care of the mental health of our men and of our women. That is why I said we need sexual education, we need proper mental health. That needs to be given to our teenagers. Not, I mean, yes, even at this stage, if officers can arrange for such seminars, it would be very good. But that is something that we need to talk about. See, crying is not a sign of weakness, crying is a form of expression. And that is something that we need to understand. Okay. uh, so yeah, and the other thing is a lot of female suicides are not reported, by the way, because if women commits a suicide before 7 years, DV ka case file ho jata hai in laws pe. So a lot of female suicides are not reported. That is also one of the reasons. And Vesha has put up a case law. Consent which follows agreement. Yeah, true. Constructive debates. Sure, I think we need to have proper constructive debates on such topics, because you need to clarify your doubts here itself. You cannot clarify by experimenting it on clients or on family members. Lakshya says, I'm a male and I've been asked to not wear shorts for get 3 more jobs. It's okay because some people have commented the same also on my husband. That's okay. Men will be scared to even consume it is legalized. That is why I said, Sonia, we need to educate people, we need to sensitize people, and we need to explain them the difference. Okay. um, See, this whole concept of men will be scared to even consummate marriage, that is sensationalization. उसको बहुत ही ज्यादा सेंसेशनलाइज किया गया है. Are you not confident that you will not hurt your wife? Are you not confident on yourself that you are not a rapist, you're not a criminal? Are you not confident on your wife that she is going to do so and so thing? If that is the case, don't get married only. No. You have to be patient, you have to understand, don't sensationalize it. For example, how this matter was sensationalized was somebody put a tweet that now all husbands will take NOC from their wives at 8 p.m. saying ki we had sex with consent and all. So yeah, that is another way in which you can sensationalize, which is sensationalism. Mirch masala dal ke phaila do. As lawyers, you need to understand that this law is meant for those who are aggrieved. If you sensationalize, obviously the wrong target audience is going to misuse it. If you are going to sensitize, the right people are going to take the benefit of the law. That is what you need to understand. Okay. Respect every human being. You need ego somewhere to survive, but you don't need hyper ego or super ego. Okay. Yeah. So I guess this is done. All the questions are done. People have got other commitments. Even I've got other commitments too. So thank you so much.
I can understand that so many participants, like it was one of the longest session we had, like 1 hour
Oh my
34 minutes, and
God.
it is going like but as I can understand, like I can tell that people have enjoyed the session, have learned a lot. I can frankly tell that because people are interacting so much in the chat boxes. This tells that the session was amazing. Like wonderful.
Okay.
If it was like okay, I think participants were directly joined and they would have like opened their mic and they would have bombarded with questions and they would have said everything. But we have restricted to this because we want that session should go like fluently, clearly, and there should not be noises.
Yeah,
So we are using this type of platform, and we will think about Zoom on any other platform in the later stage. So
sure,
as some
definitely.
hmm. So ma'am, as we have completed all the questions like from the participants and from our questions also, like now I will like to conclude, but before concluding we have a last question to every guest we have. But the question is like,
Mhm.
what is your suggestions to students like us, to youth like us, to grow in this society, maybe in the legal field or any other thing?
To grow, see, growth has different definition for different people. One thing is study well, because when I say study well, I don't mean कि रट्टेबाजी करो, marks ले लो और आगे बढ़ो, या फिर attend session only for the sake of certificate. No. When I say study well, you have to be patient, you have to be committed. Second thing, don't be give back to the society. That is one thing I would like to tell all the youngsters. Give back to the society in whatever way you are, because uh, we are raised by the society. We are not raised only by our parents, we are raised by the society. Do give back to your society in however you can. Third, and the most important tip I would tell a lot of law students is, start working with NGOs, start interning with district legal aid services, because those are the places where there is huge requirement of lawyers and law students. And trust me, the learnings that you have in these places, you won't learn even in the biggest law firms. So if you could intern and spend your time with them, that would really be great. You can learn a lot and you can grow a lot in the legal profession.
Thank you so much for the suggestions and suggestions, ma'am. So like I know like, people are like conclude like, okay, we are at the stage of concluding, and I would like to thank the advocate Aishwarya Sandeep, like ma'am, for providing us the time and sharing the knowledge with us. So much of knowledge, like tremendous amount of, I can say like this. And I'd also like to thank all the participants for participating in the session and eagerly like remain being patient and learning a lot from this. Like I can understand. And in the end, I will just say, be safe from the pandemic and be a law-abiding citizen. That's Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Law Gardner, and thank you so much to the audience. It's been a wonderful session. Thank you so much. So I'll just
Dhruva, please end the